Hey everybody, and welcome back to my channel, where today I am going to update you on my reading for the last month. So I know that it's been a while. I was on vacation for the majority of that, and then obviously finding time to film has really just been kind of a pain, to be honest. But I found some time. We're here. I'm going to update you on everything that I read. And the first thing that I finished is The Parliament by Amy Pakwatka. This is an adult horror thriller-ish kind of novel, and we're following our main character who actually gets trapped in the library with a number of other townsfolk because as soon as they try to go outside, a parliament of owls attacks them, and kills them. So they're stuck in the library until they can figure out how to make the owls go away. And the story goes from there. This is an interesting book. This is not the normal thing that I would generally pick up because I'm not really a horror kind of reader or even really a thriller kind of reader. Mostly because that building tension doesn't really affect me. I don't get tense and I'm not scared, so the whole point of it is kind of lost on me. The other thing that this was interesting is that it's an adult book, but it kind of reads a little young, partially because of the maturity of our main character. She's an adult and she does adult things, but she also feels immature, and in a way that I didn't totally love. And honestly, the complexity of the story itself just kind of made it feel a little bit younger. It's not a young adult. I wouldn't even necessarily say it's a new adult kind of book, but it just, somebody who is a teen could enjoy this book. I would have no problem handing it off to my older child who's 13. So that didn't totally work for me, but additionally, those are things that are just make it not for me. But additionally, this book, while it had a really, really interesting premise, and I felt compelled to read it, I wanted to know how it ended, I don't think that it was executed quite as well as I wanted it to. There were too many characters, so I really struggled to keep track of them, and the ending itself I didn't totally buy into. So there were good things about it, but it just, on the whole, I don't think was done as well as I wanted it to. And so ultimately I ended up giving it 3.25 stars. It's not a bad book, but I wouldn't call it a good book either. And then I picked up Bitter Medicine by Mia Tsai, and this is a book, this is fantasy romance, guys, but not romantasy, it's fantasy romance. We're following our two main characters. The male main character is a French elf, half elf, and then the female main character is a I think Chinese born child of a god, so descendant of a god, and they're in this fantasy realm, and the male main character is kind of a secret agent type guy, and the female is kind of providing him with all of this magic so that when he's in a fight, he can use it to help him, I think is the best way to describe that. And then of course they totally have the hots for each other, and they just haven't talked about it yet. But I really liked this book. It was kind of a sickly sweet little romance, and a lot of times that's said in a derogatory way, and I mean it it was nice. It was so nice. There weren't these huge fights. They were into each other, and it took them a while for these characters to figure out, oh, actually, we feel the same about each other. It just took them a while, but it was very understandable. I loved how they would have arguments, but it wouldn't devolve into miscommunication or any of that. They would be mature, and the fight would end in a way that isn't as typical for romance novels. I really, really love that subversion of that kind of trope that we frequently find in romance novels. As for I did find the romance to be just generally really sweet. I really liked it. As for our main plot that they had going on, it was I honestly cannot tell you all of it because I don't totally remember all of it. This was read a little while ago. I liked it well enough, although I will say the ending was abrupt. As we were bringing both parts together, the romantic plot line and the non-romantic plot line, we were bringing it together. It was just really fast. It was very abrupt. There were these big decisions that were being made, and we didn't really see a whole lot of thought put into the consequences of these actions, nor did we see the aftermath and the characters grappling with what this means. And so I left feeling like everything leading up to it was great. The ending was a little bit lackluster, but ultimately I still really enjoyed reading this book, so I gave it 3.75 stars. And then I read Road to Ruin by Hannah Lee, and this is an adult fantasy. It's a little bit gritty fantasy romance. The romance in this is pretty heavy. There's like heavy romantic subtones. I don't know if that's the word I'm looking for, but like little plot points, right? But we're essentially following our main character of Jin, who is a courier. She lives in this world where there's like cities, and then between them is just wasteland, and it's very dangerous because there are these magic storms that you can get caught in. And so she's a courier between the two cities, and one of the big things that she's delivering are these letters between a prince in one city and a princess in the other, and they're not supposed to be communicating. So this is a big deal, and everything is going just fine until the princess asks Jin to help her escape her family. And the wrinkle in this whole plan is that Jin is in love with both the princess and the prince, and the story goes from there. I liked this so much more than I thought I was going to. Like, it has a really interesting premise, but I was very wary of it because, like, I've seen things like that done terribly. So I was pleasantly surprised. To be fair, that means that my expectations were so low that it was not hard for me to be pleasantly surprised. But I did find it to be a very interesting world. This did read a little bit young. However, like, I don't think it was done in a bad way, and it was something that I could totally hang with. The ending was similar to the last book, Bitter Medicine. The ending was a little bit abrupt, but this one was more like, you know how like Brandon Sanderson has his avalanche endings? It kind of felt like that, except without the foundation that Brandon Sanderson usually has. There were things that happened that didn't have quite enough support and build up, so I didn't totally buy into it. Now, I am intrigued enough by this world because, like, magic storms and mana pools and, like, what's really going on, what's with that old man, like, there's a lot of stuff going on that I am intrigued enough to read the next one, and I'm hoping that my questions will get answered in the next book. But it was a little bit, again, the ending was just a little bit abrupt and not quite what I wanted. But I did like the characters, and I am very interested to see where we go. This is not a true romance. There is no happily ever after at the end in the way that we want it to be. But this is a trilogy, so, like, I did say it was a romance, but it's kind of not a romance because it doesn't have that very specific thing. But I still liked it, and I ended up giving it 4 stars. And then the last one to mention is An Inheritance of Monsters by Kate Corvin. This is monster erotica, and it is like a why choose kind of monster erotica. I was reading it on audio, and everything got really busy before my trip, and so I stopped listening, and I never picked it back up. And my hold, like, it went back to the library and everything, and I do not feel compelled to check it out again. So this is a DNF, and this is not a DNF of, oh, I hate it. It's just a DNF of, I'm not interested enough to put in the effort to get it. So I read a third of it. It didn't wow me, so I'm just not going to worry about finishing it. Additionally, there are like 4 other books that I picked up and then put back down because they weren't for me. So like I did have other reading things going on. But yeah, that was a lot of the stuff that I have read in the last month or so. Oh, one more. I forgot. So I did not finish this before I left like I was planning to, but I did finish this right as soon as I came home. And that is Fantasy Magazine's Women Destroy Fantasy special issue. I had 2 short stories left in this, and I did not read them before I left, but I did read them when I got home. They were both okay. Not really the kind of short stories that I'm looking for. I thought that they were pretty well done, but like just not for me. Overall, I thought this was like a 3.75 kind of short story collection, which takes into account how many of the stories were things that I personally enjoyed. Now, if I were to go just for quality, it's definitely higher than that. It's like a 4 or 4.25 stars. These are just really well done stories. But so I did round up on Goodreads. I gave it 4 stars. But for me personally, it was probably a 3.75. Do not regret reading it, but not quite as good as I wanted it to be. So that is everything that I have read in the last month. Now, additionally, I am in the middle of so many books because I can't be in the middle of just one. I am in the middle still of The Proper Thing and Other Stories by Seanan McGuire. I have read none of these. I haven't read it anymore since the last update, so I just want to let you know that it's at least on my radar. And then I did actually get my hold in on Caliban's War by James S.A. Corey. So I am listening to this on audiobook. It's the second book in the Expanse series. It is a reread for me. I'm listening to it on audio. I'm finding that that's just generally a much better way for me to reread these books. And I have already got a little bit further into it. I'm probably like 55 to 60% of the way into this book. I don't have any like more thoughts about it. It's just continuing on, but I am making progress. And then I picked up The Blighted Stars by Megan O'Keefe. And this is an adult science fiction romance, I think. It's got heavy romance vibes. I believe. So we are, we're in a science fiction world, and these 2 characters have crash landed on a different planet, and they're enemies. But I think it's going to be enemies to lovers. I don't totally know anything else about this because I actually just went into this without looking at the description, and I'm not that far in. I'm only like 3 chapters, but I like it well enough so far. I didn't hate the writing style enough to just DNF it. But I am in the middle, and this is going to be a focus for me. And the other focus that I have is Discount Armageddon by Seanan McGuire, which is the first book in the Encrypted series, which is an adult urban fantasy series. And we're following a family of cryptozoologists who study and liaison with and sometimes like kill the monsters that live in our world. This book follows the narrator for this book is the middle child of the Price family, Verity. She's a dancer trying to make it in New York, but of course her cryptozoologist duties come first and whatever. It's a reread. That's why I know so much about it, and I can actually give you a decent description. I am rereading this as a buddy read with my friend Julie, who has never read it, and I'm very excited. I'm very excited because, honestly, our buddy reads are at their purest when we are reading urban fantasy, and even better when it's a Seanan McGuire urban fantasy. So I am so excited for her to read this, and I'm really excited for myself because I have technically read this twice, but I don't remember a ton that happened in the first couple of books. So I'm so excited to reread these knowing where we're going to go. I'm only 3 chapters in. I actually need to catch up because Julie, I believe at this point, is at least 90 pages in, and I'm only on page 30. So I've got some catch up to do. So it will be a focus for me. So As for what else I've been doing, it was mostly socializing. I really didn't do too much of anything else because my vacation was to go see family, so the point was to be with other people, and I think I did a really good job of that. However, after, 3 weeks, I think, away, and socializing, I am done peopling for a while. I am full hibernation mode, and so I am reading more. I'm playing different kinds of video games like Gems of War. I am still playing Gems of War, and I will probably be playing Gems of War for the foreseeable future. But I did also pick up Disney's Dreamlight Valley again, because I really did like it. I'm trying to figure out how to not. Okay, so for games like Dreamlight Valley or Animal Crossing, there's a lot of stuff you can do, but you don't have to do it. But I feel this drive to do all of the things, and then I end up spending hours and hours doing it and not having a ton of fun. So I'm trying to figure out how to keep it fun. And right now, with Dreamlight Valley, what I'm doing is actually listening to my audiobook at the same time and kind of setting a time limit of about an hour. And just checking in with myself after that. And about that point, I'm like, yeah, it's not as fun as I want it to be. So then I turn it off. And that's working really, really well. But, so I've got those things going. I did just pick up another Lego set I'm very excited about. It's Starry Night. I'm so excited to have colors in this one. The last set I did was mostly browns. I'm very excited about this one, so that'll probably work on that. I've got some secret projects going, not for this, but for other things in my life, but they're still secret. And yeah, I'm definitely keeping busy, and you'll get to see some of those updates here, hopefully in a much more timely manner. But I think that's all I've got. So if you have any thoughts or feelings about any of the books or things that I have talked about in this video, please leave me a comment down below. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you want to. And until next time, have happy reading, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!